Can you imagine raising someone like your own, only for them to spit in your face and slam the door on you, without ever knowing you were quietly holding onto a $5 million gift just for them? This is the story of Jeremiah Brown, a humble, kind-hearted black man who gave everything to a little girl who had nothing. And when she grew up, she threw him out like trash. But what she didn't know would change everything. Stay with me. Jeremiah Brown had the worn hands of a man who worked with wood, oil, and prayer. A quiet, dark-skinned carpenter who lived in the small rural town of Lanesboro, Minnesota. Jeremiah was known as the man who could fix anything, except the silence in his house. He was never able to have children of his own. A terrible accident had taken that chance. But still, his heart burned with a father's love. One rainy November evening, Jeremiah stepped into the children's shelter to fix a broken cupboard. And there, under the table, hiding from the chaos, was 4-year-old Ella. Ill, frail, blue-eyed, her blonde hair tangled like vines. She didn't say a word. But when Jeremiah dropped his hammer, she crawled toward it, picked it up and handed it back. That was the moment he knew. She was meant to be his. He adopted her the next year. Everyone whispered, "Why would a black man adopt a white girl?" He ignored them. He taught her how to ride a bike, how to stand up to bullies, how to pray before bed. He showed up at every school recital with flowers and peanut brittle. He packed her lunch with silly notes. "To my girl, be bold. Be kind. Be Ella." She called him Daddy. And for 12 magical years, they were inseparable. But then, things changed. Middle school turned into high school. Friends turned into mean girls. And whispers turned into questions Ella didn't know how to answer. "Is he really your dad? You don't look adopted. He looks like a janitor." She started to flinch when Jeremiah came to school. One day she begged him, "Please don't pick me up at the front." He nodded, quietly, and from that moment something broke. College came. Ella won a partial scholarship to a state university. Jeremiah sold his truck and part of the backyard to help cover the rest. He waved her off at the bus station with tears in his eyes, a warm lunchbox in hand, and a weathered Bible in the other. But from that day forward, she never called. Not on birthdays. Not on Christmas. He'd sit on the porch with 2 cups of coffee waiting. Still he sent her money each month. $300, sometimes more. Quietly, faithfully. Even as he started working nights. One day the payment stopped being cashed. And 2 years later she showed up on his porch, grown and angry. "Why do you keep sending me money? I don't need your charity. You're not even my real father." Jeremiah froze. She stood in front of him, a stranger with his daughter's voice. "I'm done pretending," she said. "I want my own life. Please don't contact me again." Then she left. The cup of coffee he'd poured for her stayed untouched on the railing, slowly going cold. What Ella didn't know was this. Every dollar he ever made, every check he tucked away, every second job he took, all of it was for her. For years, Jeremiah had been slowly, quietly investing. A friend he once fixed furniture for had helped him put savings into property shares and stock funds. And by the time Ella was 21, that small nest egg had grown to $5 million. It was all in a trust, with her name on it. But there was one condition. She had to read the letter he wrote the day she turned 18. She never did. The letter sat unopened at the foot of her childhood bed, gathering dust. Inside were words she needed to hear. "Dear Ella, I may not have your blood, but every heartbeat in my chest belongs to you." Years passed. Ella moved to the city. She worked in marketing, told people she was an only child, that her parents passed away early. She was successful, but alone. Her soul often felt unfinished. One snowy Christmas Eve, her doorbell rang. It was a lawyer. "Are you Ella Brown?" "Yes. I'm here about the estate of Mr. Jeremiah Brown." The room began to spin. She hadn't even known he died. Tears hit her cheek before she understood why. He'd left her everything. Not just the money. Not just the house. But the letter. and a worn photograph of her 5-year-old self on his shoulders, both of them laughing under the summer sun. And scribbled on the back, in his messy writing, "You gave me a reason to live. I hope I gave you the same." She didn't touch the money for months. Instead she went back to Lanesborough, to the old house. It smelled like cedar and coffee and ghosts. She sat on the porch, 2 cups of coffee beside her, and whispered into the wind, "I'm sorry, Daddy." Then she did what he would have done. She used the money to create a foundation for foster kids, kids who never felt chosen, never knew a father's love. She named it the Jeremiah Home. And every child who walked through its doors heard the story of a quiet black carpenter who loved a girl that wasn't his by blood, but was his in every way that mattered. Kindness leaves a legacy, even when the world forgets. Jeremiah didn't raise a daughter for praise or applause. He did it because love is louder than blood. And in the end, it changed everything. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us below, what's one act of kindness that changed your life?